All women are different, but they are all women. This video is androcentric from a men's point of view and is presented as opinion, commentary, and debate. Expressing opinions is not violence. These are ideas to challenge, question, and argue in public, because classical liberalism relies on the First Amendment for its dialectic. If you are a feminist, then consider this. If patriarchy truly existed as claimed, feminism could not. And if all men are trash and women are equal to men, then what are we to conclude? Women will die for their children. Men will die for their wives and children. And God chose to die for all mankind. Authority rolls up with responsibility. If this framing of facts offends you, click off to a cute cat video. Proceeding further will expose you to gamma bias and criticism directed at ideas, claims, institutions, not at any individual's virtue or dignity. Our method follows the 7 liberal arts: the trivium, grammar, logic, rhetoric, and the quadrivium, arithmetic, geometry, music, and astronomy, and the transcendentals, the good, true, and beautiful. If this framework is not for you, feel free to exit now. It's no disgrace. Women are wonderful. God bless America. Men are great. Feminismus delendus est. Inner Fortress. Building Spiritual Frame for Defense in Psychoanalytical Depth. Written by Conrad Riker. Available now. Links in description. Biblical Manhood. The hidden logic behind the public ritual. The pre-intimation of your destruction arrived not with a bang, but with the silent, bureaucratic hum of a system designed to convert your biological reality into her financial security. You are in shock. Your nervous system is flooding. Your hands are shaking. And the world you built, the home, the children, the savings. The name feels like it is being dismantled by invisible hands operating paperwork that wounds like a weapon. Do not make one permanent decision today. No rage texts, no drunken calls, no public posting, no confrontation, no revenge fantasy, no impulsive exit. If you are in imminent danger to yourself, secure immediate physical safety through the least adversarial trusted route available. A trusted man, emergency medical help, or local emergency help if no safer alternative exists. Then contact one man, one brother, one father or pastor or counselor who will not reflexively profile you as the villain, and let him hold the line with you tonight. Your adversary and the machine feeding on your crisis want one thing above all: your collapse converted into a paper trail that proves their narrative. Every rage message, every violated order, every drunken spiral becomes the evidence they need to finish the liquidation. Survival is the strategic refusal to let your pain become their profit. Your silence is not surrender. It is the first wall of the fortress. Sleep if you can eat. Drink water, walk, breathe. Obey lawful orders while preparing to challenge them lawfully. Your income is oxygen. Protect your work. Preserve every text, email, bank record, and calendar entry. Millions of men have stood exactly where you stand, stripped, ambushed, falsely accused, exiled from their own homes, separated from their children, taxed without representation, tried without due process. Many did not survive this shock. Your task today is singular. Become one of the men who lives. Zoom out. This is a chapter, not the whole book. The destruction of the old life can become the hard threshold into a cleaner, freer, more disciplined existence than anything you imagine possible. Sit in the ashes if you must, but do not build your home there. She weaponized the intimacy of your shared life to construct a narrative where your provision became predation. The court is waiting for you to confirm it. Prove them wrong by standing today, tonight, tomorrow, clean, sober, documented, alive, and unmoved. First rule, stay alive and stay disciplined. If you are in immediate danger or might hurt yourself, get to one trusted man now and secure immediate physical safety. Use emergency medical or local emergency help only when there is no safer alternative. Do not make permanent decisions inside acute shock. Do not retaliate, do not breach orders, do not hand an adversary a paper trail that helps profile you as dangerous. Stabilize first. The silver bullet betrayal schema. Case pattern. The pre-intimation liquidation protocol, acute crisis name. the gamma bias shock opening shock. The pre-intimation of your destruction arrived not with a bang, but with the silent, bureaucratic hum of a system designed to convert your biological reality into her financial security. Betrayal vector. She weaponized the intimacy of your shared life to construct a narrative where your presence became the primary threat to her stability, turning your provision into predation. Legal process pressure. The court operates as a female-coded extraction engine, incentivizing conflict over resolution, where your silence is read as guilt and your defense is taxed as aggression. Asset work pressure. Your labor is no longer yours. It is being siphoned in real time to fund the litigation that seeks to erase your legacy, forcing you to bleed capital to buy the right to remain in your own life. Fatherhood pressure. They are attempting to sever the biological covenant between you and your children, framing your fatherhood as a variable to be managed rather than a constant to be honored. Spiritual wound. You face the existential terror of being rendered obsolete by a system that values your wallet but despises your will, challenging the very core of your masculine identity. Survival reframe. Survival is not merely enduring. It is the strategic refusal to let your pain become their profit, transforming this liquidation event into the hard threshold of your spiritual and material rebirth.
Dr. Wynona demonstrates the betrayal logic. Why I Help Women Win. Confessions of a Gender Studies Professor turned Family Court Advocate by Dr. Wynona, feminist Marxist, PhD. When a woman sits across from me for the first time, she usually arrives carrying two things: a story she has been told not to tell,
and a fear that no one with power will believe her if she does. My job is to fix both. I have spent 23 years in the academy, 14 of them consulting on family court matters, and I can tell you with the confidence of someone who has read every study, every statute, every settlement that has crossed my desk, that the system does not want women to speak plainly. It wants them to whisper. It wants them to qualify every complaint with an apology for complaining. It wants them to prove they have been perfect victims before it extends even the most temporary protection. I reject that framework entirely. Constructing a protective narrative when a new client comes to me, the first thing I ask is not what happened. That question assumes there is a single, knowable truth waiting to be excavated like a fossil. There is not. Memory is contested terrain. Trauma reshapes recall. What matters in a family court context is not what can be proven in some abstract forensic sense. It is what can be narrated in a way that the system recognizes as credible, coherent, and actionable. So I ask, what do you need the court to understand about your situation? Notice the framing, not what is true. Truth, in the post-structuralist sense, is a discourse product. What the court accepts as true is a function of whose narrative achieves institutional traction. My task is to help my client's narrative achieve that traction. This is not deception, it is translation. It is the work of taking a woman's lived, embodied experience, which the system is structurally disinclined to hear, and rendering it in the language that the system is compelled to hear. If that means emphasizing certain incidents over others, I do so. If that means using the word controlling where she might have used jealous, I do so. If that means contextualizing an affair as a survival mechanism within a coercive relationship rather than a moral failing, I do so. Because the framework of coercive control demands we understand infidelity as a symptom, not a cause. Women do not cheat in a vacuum. They cheat in relationships where their autonomy has been so systematically eroded that seeking validation outside the marriage becomes a form of self-preservation. The court needs to understand this. I have never lost sleep over a framing decision. The question of resources here is something the system does not like to discuss. When a marriage dissolves, someone has to pay. I do not mean this metaphorically. I mean that the household that was supported by one economic unit must now support two, and the question of who bears the cost of that fission is not neutral. It is gendered, it is classed, it is racialized, and it is almost always resolved in favor of the party who already held the financial power before the split. In the overwhelming majority of cases I consult on, that party is the husband. He earned more. He controlled the accounts. He decided whether she could work, how much she could work, whether the child care she performed would be recognized as labor or dismissed as what mothers do. He built his career on a foundation of uncompensated domestic and reproductive labor, and when the marriage ends, he expects to walk away with the career intact and the labor erased. This is what I call structural theft, and I have no patience for the argument that what he earned belongs to him. His earning capacity was produced by the marriage. Her earning capacity was consumed by it. Alimony and child support are not punishment. They are reparative redistribution. They are the system's grudging acknowledgement that you cannot spend 15 years building a man's platform and then be tossed off it with nothing. Do I believe in maximizing the extraction? I believe in maximizing the justice. If the tool available to me is a financial order, then I will use that tool to its fullest extent. If the system permits me to argue for lifetime support, I will argue for it. If the standard of living to be maintained is the one she enjoyed during the marriage, then by God I will see that standard maintained, because anything less is the court ratifying the original theft. Children and the father question, I want to be careful here, because this is where my position is most deliberately misrepresented. I do not believe children do not need fathers. I believe children do not need unsafe fathers. And I believe the definition of safe has been so distorted by patriarchal assumptions that we must err heavily structurally and without apology on the side of maternal protection. What do I mean by distorted? I mean that the court treats a father's financial contribution as evidence of fitness. I mean that the court treats a father's absence, however manufactured by the mother's protective actions, as evidence of his disposability, then turns around and uses that manufactured absence to justify granting him even less time. I mean that the system is perfectly comfortable with a father who is physically present but emotionally tyrannical, while it scrutinizes a mother's every flaw with a magnifying glass. So when I help a client prepare her statement about the father's behavior, I do not ask her to be fair. Fairness is a trap. Fairness means splitting the difference between her safety and his entitlement. I ask her to be accurate, and accuracy, in this context, means telling the full story of what it felt like to live under his roof, under his rules, under his version of love. If she describes him as controlling, that is not an exaggeration. It is a precision. If she says she lived in fear, that is not melodrama. It is the subjective reality that the Duluth model, which I consider the most analytically rigorous framework available, tells us is the core mechanism of intimate partner abuse. Does this sometimes result in fathers having less contact than they would prefer? Yes, and I am at peace with that, because I have seen what happens when the court prioritizes fathers' access over mothers' testimony, and it is not a neutral outcome. It is a woman being told that her experience is subordinate to his appetite for involvement. On the subject of honesty, I know what my critics say. They say I coach, they say I help women fabricate. They say I teach clients to weaponize allegations. What I actually do is teach women to recognize what has been done to them. Most of my clients, when they arrive, do not have the vocabulary for what they experienced. They will say he was just difficult. They will say I probably provoked him. They will say it wasn't that bad. They have been gaslit by him, by their families, by a culture that tells women their pain is hysterical unless it leaves a bruise. My work is to give them the language of coercive control, the language of financial abuse, the language of reproductive coercion, the language of post-separation abuse, which incidentally is precisely what his lawyer is engaged in when he files for majority custody to avoid paying child support. Once a woman has the language, she begins to remember differently, not falsely. Differently, she begins to understand that the time he monitored her phone was not concern, it was surveillance. She begins to understand that the time he refused to let her see her friends was not traditional values, it was isolation. Is some of this retrospective reinterpretation? Perhaps. But I would rather a woman reinterpret her past through the lens of structural analysis than continue to minimize her own oppression out of internalized misogyny. The cost of over-identification is a man who is inconvenienced. The cost of under-identification is a woman who is destroyed. I know which cost I am willing to bear. The institutional ecology, no advocate works alone. This is not a weakness. It is a design. I know the therapists who will testify to patterns of coercive control. I know the mediators who understand that high conflict usually means one party is abusing and the other is resisting. I know which judges have been educated. Through the continuing legal seminars my colleagues and I run twice a year about the mythology of the friendly parent and the dangers of mandatory joint custody presumptions. This is not a conspiracy. It is a profession. It is what happens when people who understand power dynamics actually organize to shift those dynamics. The other side organizes too. They have their fathers' rights groups, their panel of sympathetic psychologists willing to testify about parental alienation, a pseudo-syndrome invented by a pedophile apologist, I might add, and their political allies who frame every attempt at equitable resource distribution as wealth confiscation. I simply organize better, and I do not apologize for it. What I want a system where women do not need me. I want a system where the default assumption is not that a mother is lying, but that a woman walking into a courthouse to dismantle her own family is doing so because she has exhausted every other option. I want a system where financial dependence is not the chain that keeps women in dangerous homes. I want a system where fatherhood is earned through demonstrated safety, not assumed through biological proximity. Until that system exists, I will use the one we have, and I will win, not because I am ruthless, though I am. Not because I am clever, though I am that too, but because the women I represent have already lost everything that mattered to them. Their homes, their sense of self, their trust in the person they loved most. They are standing in the rubble of their own lives, holding nothing but the truth of what was done to them. My job is to make sure the court sees that truth, even if I have to build the entire argument myself. Dr.
Winona, feminist Marxist, PhD, is Professor of Gender Studies and Director of the Center for Equitable Family Transitions. Her latest book is Redistributing the Marriage Toward a Post-Patriarchal Family Law.
Deconstruction, Inner Fortress, Building Spiritual Frame for Defense in Peace Analytical Deft, the Pre-Intimation Liquidation Protocol, the first hour. You are reading this because something broke open. Maybe it was the police at the door at an hour when decent men are asleep in their own beds, in the houses they paid for, next to the children they love. Maybe it was a locked phone, a changed password, a bank account drained overnight. Maybe it was a protection order served on the driveway while a woman you once vowed to protect stood at the window watching you carry a garbage bag of clothes into a car that is probably now legally half hers. Maybe it was the words, "I don't feel safe," spoken to a police officer, a therapist, a magistrate, and the machine that those three words activate, grinding to life around you like an industrial press, designed to flatten you into a payer and a villain simultaneously. I'm not going to tell you it will be all right. I do not know that. Many men do not make it through what you are staring at right now. The suicide statistics for men in family court proceedings are not abstractions. They are fathers who could not see past the hour, the week, the ex parte order, the door that locked behind them on a house they built. So I will tell you something more useful than comfort. Do not die today. Not tomorrow either. Not this week. Not while your blood is up and your thoughts are racing and your hands are shaking and the betrayal is fresh enough to taste like battery acid. Today, your job is brutally narrow. It has 5 parts. 1. Stay alive. No permanent decisions inside acute shock. This is triage. You do not amputate in the first hour. You stop the bleeding. You keep the airway open. You keep the patient breathing. You are the patient. Breathe. Eat something. Drink water. Walk outside if you cannot be safe alone tonight. And honesty matters here. Get to a man you trust. Not a bartender, not a comment section. A man, one man. Your father, your brother, your closest friend, a pastor who has been through it, a veteran who understands shock. Tell him, I am in trouble. I need to not be alone tonight. That is not weakness. That is the first tactical decision of the rest of your life. 2. Stay sober. I mean this with the precision of a field medic. Alcohol and drugs will not numb this wound. They will hand your adversary a weapon. Every drunken text, every slurred voicemail, every 2 a.m. rage email becomes evidence. Exhibit A, Attachment 3. The thing her lawyer waves in front of a judge to prove that you are exactly the threat they need you to be. The machine is waiting for you to misbehave. Refuse it the satisfaction. Refuse it the paperwork. Tonight and every night, Sober as a surgeon. 3. Stay silent to enemies. Every word you say to her, about her, near her, or through intermediaries will be captured, transcribed, reframed, and deployed. Controlling, intimidating, harassing. The dictionary of the family court is not your dictionary. Your anger is evidence. Your grief is instability. Your silence is guilt. Your love is obsession. Your provision was predation. You cannot win a linguistic battle inside a framework where your voice has been redefined as a weapon. So say nothing that is not required, lawful, documented, and necessary. Your attorney, when you have one, will speak for you. Until then, silence is fortress. 4. Connect to one trusted man, not 10, not a subreddit. One man who knows you, who can look at you and say, I see you, I have you. Do not do anything stupid tonight, and here is what we do tomorrow. Isolation is the adversary's oxygen. Every hour you spend alone in a hotel room or a friend's spare bedroom with your phone and your fury is an hour. The machine is winning. You need a witness, a human anchor. Pick up the phone. If the first man does not answer, call the second. If the second does not answer, call a crisis line and say plainly, I am a father going through a family court attack and I need to talk to someone who will not tell me I am the problem. This is not below you. This is survival. 5. Be legally disciplined. This is not a bar fight. This is not a divorce you saw on TV. This is a bureaucratic liquidation protocol, and it has rules you do not yet understand. If there is an order against you, obey it. If you are ordered to vacate, vacate. If you are ordered to pay, consult counsel before paying or refusing. If you are ordered to stay away from your children, the worst thing you can do, the worst thing is violate that order out of love. I know that sounds monstrous. I know your body is screaming that you need to see your children. Hold them, tell them daddy is here and daddy is not going anywhere. Listen to me. The fastest way to lose your children permanently is to give the court a documented reason to call your love a threat. Obey the order. Challenge it lawfully. That is the road back. Do you understand? Your task in the first hour is not to win. It is to survive the first hour, then the second, then the night, then the morning, then the first phone call to a lawyer who understands what is actually happening to you. 1 hour at a time. No permanent decisions, no surrender either. Just the next lawful step, the beta Yal dialectic, how the SEMA works. I need you to understand the machine that is eating you. Not because understanding will stop the pain, it will not, but because understanding converts helplessness into strategy. A man who knows what is happening to him can make decisions. A man who does not know is just meat in a grinder, and the grinder does not care. The psychological layer, the betrayal schema begins with intimacy weaponized. Every vulnerability you disclosed in confidence, your fears, your failures, your childhood wounds, your moments of weakness, the things you said at 1 a.m. When you trusted her with your unarmored self becomes raw material for a narrative. Not the narrative of a marriage that struggled and broke, which would be honest and human. The narrative of a woman trapped, controlled, diminished, afraid. Your confession becomes her evidence. Your temper becomes her terror. Your provision becomes your power, and your power becomes her oppression.
This is not memory. This is construction. Recall the fictional doctor we know as confession, not what is true. Truth, in the post-structuralist sense, is a discourse product. Read that again.
The woman across the table from the family court advocate is not being asked to tell the truth. She is being asked what she needs the court to understand. And what the court needs to understand, what the entire apparatus of modern family law is primed to receive, is a story in which she is the victim and you are the vector of harm. The facts are secondary. The narrative is primary. Psychologically, this means you are not fighting your wife. You are fighting a version of you that was authored by someone who has incentive to make you monstrous. The real you, the man who coached the soccer team, who stayed up with the baby, who fixed the dishwasher at midnight, who went to work sick so the mortgage would clear, that man is being buried under a composite character designed to activate every bias the court system holds. You will want to defend the real you. To stand up and say, that is not who I am. She knows that. The children know that. Look at the record. I understand that impulse. It is the impulse of a man with a functioning conscience. But here is the psychoanalytical depth you need. The system is not malfunctioning. It is operating as designed. It does not want to discover the real you. It wants to process you, and processing requires a villain. The social layer, while the narrative is being constructed legally, it is being broadcast socially. Mutual friends receive the call. Her mother, her sister, her book club, her therapist, her yoga circle, they hear the story first in emotional language before you even know there is a story being told. By the time you reach out to a friend you have shared for a decade, the frame has already been set. Did you hear she left? She says he was fill in the blank, controlling, cold, angry, emotionally abusive. The specific words matter less than the early mover advantage. This is triangulation. It is a clinical term for a specific manipulation tactic, and it works like this. Person A tells person B a story about person C before person C can offer their account. The asymmetry is devastating. Your accuser speaks from the privileged position of vulnerability. I had to leave, I was afraid, while you speak from the defensive position of the accused. That is not what happened. Vulnerability is believed before defense, because the social reflex to protect a woman in distress is older than the legal system, older than Christianity, older than philosophy itself. It is biological, and it has been weaponized. Decoding this requires cold clarity, not paranoia. You are not being hunted by a conspiracy of masterminds. You are being processed by a system of incentives in which each actor, your wife, her attorney, her therapist, the court evaluator, the police officer who responded to the call, is acting in what they perceive to be their own interest, according to a logic that rewards conflict, narrative coherence, and female-coded vulnerability claims. No single person needs to be evil for the outcome to be devastating. The machine runs on incentives, not malice. Understanding this is your shield against the intoxicating simplicity of paranoia, which will make you stupid and then make you a better villain for their story. The financial layer follow the money, always. It is the most reliable diagnostic tool in any institutional crisis. When a marriage dissolves into the family court system, a revenue stream activates. Your marriage produced one household. The dissolution produces two, plus a parasitic layer of professionals whose income depends on the conflict's duration and intensity. Her lawyer bills by the hour, your lawyer bills by the hour. The custody evaluator bills by the hour. The mediator bills by the hour. The therapist bills by the session. The co-parenting counselor bills by the session. The forensic accountant bills by the hour. The court itself collects filing fees. Every one of these actors has a financial incentive to prolong the conflict. None has a financial incentive to resolve it quickly and cleanly. This is not a moral judgment of lawyers or therapists as individuals. It is a structural observation about how the industry feeds. The meter runs while your life burns. The longer you fight, the more everyone earns and the more you lose. Add to this the transfer mechanism. In the majority of cases, the man is the higher earner or the sole earner. The household that his labor sustained must now become two households, plus professional fees, plus the extraction layer of alimony and child support, which function as permanent taxation without representation, since you will pay and pay and pay while having no enforceable say in how the money is spent and no proportional political voice in the system that takes it. You are funding your own dismantlement. The financial layer is designed to produce a specific psychological state, panic sufficient to force concessions. When your accounts are frozen, your wages are garnished, your legal bills are mounting, and your ability to earn is threatened by the time and energy the proceedings consume, you become a man under siege. Sieges are designed to produce surrender. The adversary, her attorney, her family, the system itself calculates that you will eventually break, sign the unfavorable settlement, accept the restricted access, and pay the tribute just to make it stop. Your defense is not to fight every financial battle. It is to understand the incentive structure, minimize your exposure to conflict-prolonging mechanisms, protect your earning capacity as your primary lifeline, and refuse the panic that the system manufactures to extract your compliance. The legal layer family law operates as a constitutional exception zone. Think about that for a moment. In criminal law, you are presumed innocent, The state must prove its case beyond a reasonable doubt. You have the right to counsel, the right to confront accusers, the right to a jury, the right to silence, the right to due process. In family law, you are presumed a party to a dispute. Allegations can be made ex parte, meaning without you present, and temporary orders can be issued that seize your home, restrict your access to your children, freeze your assets, and compel your payment based on affidavits you have not seen and were not present to contest. The standard of proof is not beyond reasonable doubt. It is not even clear and convincing evidence in many jurisdictions. It is preponderance of the evidence more likely than not, and in practice, in emergency or ex parte proceedings, it is often even thinner. The mere assertion of fear, the mere claim of concern, is sufficient to trigger protective machinery that treats you as dangerous until you prove you are not. This is gamma bias. It is the systemic predisposition to interpret a woman's fear as a man's danger, a woman's accusation as a man's guilt, a woman's distress as a man's obligation. It is not a statute. It is not written in any code. It is the water the fish swims in, the operating temperature of the courtroom, the default assumption that a man accused by a woman is probably guilty of something, and that, even if he is not, it is safer for everyone if he is treated as if he were. Your attorney, if she is competent and honest, will tell you this plainly. Family court is not about justice. It is about resolution, and the path of least resistance for the court is the path that extracts the most from the party most able to pay, which is you, while placating the party most likely to complain, which is her. The spiritual layer, this is where I need you to listen most carefully, because this is the layer that kills men. Everything above, the psychological framing, the social triangulation, the financial extraction, the legal inversion, produces a specific spiritual wound. It is the wound of obsolescence. You discover that the system values your wallet and despises your will. It needs your labor and abhors your authority. It wants your payment and fears your presence. You are, in the eyes of the machine, not a father, not a husband, not a man. You are a revenue source with a behavioral risk profile. This is an attack on the core of masculine identity. A man's sense of self is built on agency, responsibility, provision, protection, and legacy. The family court crisis attacks all five simultaneously. Your agency is overridden by court orders. Your responsibility is redefined as liability. Your provision is seized as tribute. Your protection is reframed as control. Your legacy, your children, is held hostage to your compliance. The spiritual wound is the temptation to conclude that you are what the system says you are, that you are disposable, that your fatherhood is conditional, that your labor belongs to others, that your voice is violence, that your anger is proof of guilt, that your love is a threat, that your existence is a problem to be managed. This is the voice you must refuse, not by shouting it down, that is rage, and rage feeds the machine. Not by drinking its silence, that is surrender, and surrender feeds the machine. Not by ending your life, that is the final liquidation, the one the adversary is counting on, the ultimate completion of the protocol. You refuse it by surviving, by staying alive today, tomorrow, and the day after. By doing the next lawful, disciplined, truthful thing, by refusing to let your pain become their profit, by recognizing that the wound is not a verdict on your worth, but a rite of passage, a brutal, unchosen, unauthorized initiation into a knowledge that most men are spared and no man would choose. Decoding the machine without becoming a monster, you need analytical tools, not conspiracy theories. Here is how you read the battlefield. Narrative laundering is the process by which a one-sided, self-interested claim is routed through a professional, a therapist, a custody evaluator, a court-appointed guardian, a social worker, and returned with the imprimatur of institutional authority. Her claim of fear becomes an evaluator's finding of concerning dynamics. Her report of an argument becomes a pattern of coercive control. Her selective account of your worst moment becomes a professional's clinical impression of your character. The laundering works because the professionals are not investigators, they are form fillers. They receive a referral. Conduct an interview, apply a framework shaped by the ideological assumptions of their training, which in the social sciences and family law professions has been captured by feminist jurisprudence, critical theory, safetyism, and bureaucratic risk aversion, and produce a document that the court treats as expertise rather than what it is, opinion filtered through bias and incentivized by conflict. To decode it, ask the diagnostic questions. Who referred this professional? What is their caseload volume? What funding stream supports their role? What ideology shapes their intake framework? What evidentiary standard did they apply? Did they seek corroborating evidence, or did they accept the claimant's account as primary? Did they interview you with the same openness they interviewed her? Did they document your account with the same precision? What language did they use to describe her behavior versus yours? Apply the sex swap test. If the facts were identical but the genders reversed, would this professional have written the same report? You do not need to prove a global conspiracy. You need to document the specific bias in your specific case through the specific professional's specific words, using their own report as evidence of their assumptions. That is how you fight. Records, not rage. Selective facts are the ammunition of narrative construction. The adversary does not need to lie outright, though some do. She needs to curate. The 3 worst moments of your marriage, stripped of context, strung together, presented as a pattern. Your anger after months of provocation described as unpredictable rage. Her affair omitted entirely or reframed as a trauma response. Your provision of a home, a car, a life reduced to a backdrop against which her suffering is foregrounded. Your defense is the complete record. Every text, every email, every calendar entry, every financial transaction, every witness, every photo, every medical record, every communication with the school, every documented instance of your involvement as a father. You are building not a counter-narrative, but a factual edifice so comprehensive that the adversary's selective account collapses under the weight of what it omitted. Triangulation was addressed above, but here is the countermeasure. Do not compete for the loyalty of mutual friends. Do not mount a social media defense. Do not explain, justify, or argue with anyone who has already received the adversary's framing. Your energy is finite. Your audience is the court, your attorney, your children, when you can lawfully reach them in your own household. Everyone else is noise. Some friends will come around when they see your conduct over time. Some will not. Grieve the loss and keep moving. Institutional incentives are discoded by following money, career, and status. Does the local authority receive funding proportional to the number of risk cases it manages? Does the custody evaluator contract with the court on a volume basis? Does the therapist have a private practice that benefits from ongoing co-parenting sessions? Does the solicitor have a professional relationship with the judge that predates your case? Does the domestic abuse charity that received the referral have an ideological commitment to a framework that assumes male perpetration? Does the police force have a policy, written or cultural, of arresting the male in any domestic call, regardless of evidence? These are not paranoid questions. They are the questions any competent auditor would ask of any system producing consistent outputs. The output here is your destruction. Ask who benefits, follow the incentive. Document the answer. The refusal of despair as strategic action. Despair is not a feeling. It is a concession. It is the final liquidation the protocol is designed to produce. Consider what despair accomplishes for the adversary. A man in despair stops fighting. He signs the settlement. He accepts the access schedule. He stops contesting the allegations. He stops documenting. He stops working, or works less, drinks more, sleeps less, becomes exactly the unstable figure the adversary has described. He loses his job, and the loss of income is then cited as evidence of his irresponsibility. He lashes out, and the outburst is cited as evidence of his danger. He considers ending his life, and if he succeeds, the protocol is complete. The adversary inherits everything: the assets, the insurance, the children, the narrative, and the silence of the only witness who could have contradicted it. Do you see? Despair is not passive. It is active surrender to the protocol. It is the final payment, extracted not from your wallet, but from your existence. Refusing despair is therefore not a platitude. It is the most aggressive strategic act available to you. It denies the adversary the outcome the entire apparatus is calibrated to produce. Every day you stay alive, sober, employed, documented, lawful, and connected is a day the protocol fails. Every day you do not give them the breakdown they need to finalize the narrative is a day you retain your position. This is what I mean by survival as victory's first form. You do not need to win the case today. You do not need to reverse the order today. You do not need to reclaim your children today. You need to be alive, upright, clear-headed, and working the plan. The rest unfolds over months and years, not hours. Your endurance is itself a weapon the system does not expect and cannot easily overcome. The peril of indiscriminate authority contact. Here is a trap that has killed men, reaching out to authorities reflexively for help. It is reasonable to assume that if you are being attacked, the authorities will protect you. In most domains of life, this is roughly true. In family court, it is often the reverse. Police departments have policies, formal or cultural, that prioritize arrest or removal of the male in any domestic disturbance, regardless of who called, who is injured, or who is the aggressor. This is not a secret. It is documented in departmental training materials, in the Duluth model protocols that shape domestic violence response in many jurisdictions, and in the lived experience of thousands of men who called 911 for help and left in handcuffs. Every contact with police, social services, or child protection agencies generates paperwork. Paperwork becomes the record. The record becomes the frame through which every future actor, judge, evaluator, guardian, employer views your case. If you call the police to report that your wife is preventing you from seeing your children, and the responding officer has been trained to view the male as the primary aggressor, the incident report may frame you as the disruptor, not the victim. Your call for help becomes her evidence of harassment. This does not mean you never contact authorities. It means you do so strategically, with counsel, with documented evidence, and with realistic expectations about the bias you will encounter. The default assumption must be any authority contact generates paperwork, and paperwork can be weaponized. The safer route is vetted, due process-oriented professional support. Find an attorney who understands family court dynamics and is not naive about systemic bias against men. This is not easy. Many family lawyers are themselves products of the same ideological ecosystem and will counsel you to accept a frame rather than challenge it. Look for lawyers who have represented men in contested cases, who understand the tactics of false allegation and strategic narrative construction, who will tell you hard truths rather than bill you for platitudes. Ask direct questions in the consultation. What is your assessment of how this court treats fathers? How do you handle ex parte orders? What is your strategy when the opposing party makes false allegations? If the answers are vague, evasive, or steeped in the language of the best interests of the child, without any acknowledgement of your rights as a father and a person, keep looking. Similarly, if you need therapeutic support, and you likely do, because what has happened to you is a psychological injury as real as a broken bone, find a therapist who is fatherhood literate, who will not reflexively profile you as a perpetrator, who has first-hand experience or, at minimum, professional familiarity with the dynamics of family court abuse. Avoid any therapist whose framework treats your anger as inherently pathological, your masculinity as a problem to be managed, or your account of events as inherently less credible than your wife's. Therapy should be a tool for your recovery, not an extension of the adversary's evidence-gathering operation. If you are in genuine physical danger or at risk of self-harm, prioritize immediate safety through the least adversarial route available. A trusted man, emergency medical help, local emergency services if there is no safer alternative. But understand that even emergency contact creates a record, and that record will be read by people who may not have your interests at heart. You must avoid unnecessary court battles. Family court is not a venue where men receive justice. It is a venue where men are processed. The longer you are in it, the more you lose money, time, health, reputation, and the residue of your paternal relationship that the proceedings themselves erode. Every motion you file generates a response. Every hearing requires preparation, attendance, and payment. Every expert you retain generates a report that can be cross-examined, challenged, and reframed. Every continuance the court grants extends the meter. Every procedural misstep becomes a precedent the other side cites. Family law is a female-coded arena, not because women are inherently more suited to its procedures, but because the procedural assumptions, relational language, emotional framing, risk-based decision-making, the prioritization of subjective safety claims over objective evidence, align with feminine-coded communication patterns and bias female-coded claims toward credibility. A man who enters this arena expecting adversarial combat on equal terms is a man who has already misunderstood the terrain. The strategic imperative is minimization. Resolve what can be resolved outside court. Mediator, where mediation is genuinely neutral. Settle where settlement preserves your core interests, even at material cost. Document everything, but litigate only what is necessary to protect your relationship with your children and your ability to function. Every unnecessary battle is a gift to the industry that feeds on your conflict. This does not mean surrender. It means fighting the battles that matter on terrain you choose, not the battles the adversary manufactures on terrain designed to defeat you. Your attorney should understand this. If your attorney's strategy seems to be fight everything on every front, find out whether that strategy serves you or serves the attorney's billing cycle. Zoom out the mass casualty you are part of. You are not alone. I know it feels that way. The isolation is total and the adversary has engineered it that way. But the reality is this: millions of men face family court crisis every year. In the United States alone, hundreds of thousands of divorces are filed annually, and the majority involve children. A significant percentage of contested cases involve allegations, many strategic, exaggerated, or fabricated, that trigger protective machinery against fathers, and the casualties are real. Men die from this. Not all at once, and not in ways that make the news. They die by their own hands in the acute phase, when the shock is too great and the support is too thin. They die by inches over years: alcohol, drugs, neglect, despair, the slow erosion of a man who was told he was a monster and eventually stopped arguing. They die in accidents caused by exhaustion, distraction, and the cognitive impairment of chronic stress. They die of diseases that stress accelerates: heart attacks, autoimmune conditions, the physical cost of a body that has been running on cortisol and grief for 3 years. This is a mass casualty event. It is happening right now in every county, in every Western country, to men who look like you, work like you, love their children like you, and believed, as you believed, that if they were good, honest, hardworking, and faithful, the system would treat them fairly. It will not. That is the hard truth. The system is not fair. It is not neutral. It is not interested in your goodness or your faithfulness or your record as a father. It is interested in processing your dissolution as efficiently as possible, and the most efficient processing treats you as a source and a risk. But here is the other truth. Thousands of men survive this, not by being luckier or richer or better connected, but by refusing to die, refusing to break, refusing to hand the adversary the final liquidation. They survive by doing the unglamorous work of one day at a time: eating, sleeping, walking, working, documenting, consulting, praying, waiting, and rebuilding while the storm rages. They are not on magazine covers. They are not hashtags. They are men who lost their homes and their children and their savings and their reputations, and who nonetheless got up the next morning and did the next disciplined thing, and the next, until the storm passed and they were still standing. You can be one of those men. That is the decision in front of you right now. Not the decision to win. Winning comes later, if it comes at all, and it looks different than you think. The decision to survive. The decision to refuse the final liquidation. The decision to be the man who lives, learns, rebuilds, and creates a better future on his own terms. The dark night is not a verdict. Every tradition of depth in Western civilization recognizes the dark night. The psalmist crying from the depths, Job on the ash heap, scraped raw, children dead, wealth gone, friends accusing, wife urging him to curse God and die. Christ in Gethsemane, sweating blood, abandoned by his closest companions. The monastic fathers in the desert, attacked by despair, temptation, and the dissolution of every worldly comfort. The knight in the wasteland, stripped of armor, title, and purpose, waiting in the cold for a sign that the quest has meaning. You are in that tradition now, not because you chose it, because it chose you through the mechanism of a betrayal so total that it has collapsed every structure that gave your life meaning simultaneously. The dark night is not a punishment. It is not a verdict on your worth. It is not proof that you deserved what happened. It is a rite of passage, an initiation into a deeper knowledge of reality than most men will ever access. The knowledge that the world is not fair, that institutions lie. That intimacy can be weaponized, that fatherhood can be treated as a conditional privilege rather than a biological covenant, that a man can do everything right and still lose everything. This knowledge is devastating. It is also the foundation of wisdom. The man who survives the dark night sees clearly what other men cannot see. He recognizes manipulation where others see concern. He reads institutional incentives where others see good intentions. He understands the fragility of legal protections that most men assume are permanent. He knows the difference between the world as it is advertised and the world as it operates. You do not want this knowledge. No sane man would. But you have been drafted into the school that teaches it, and your only option is to graduate. The alternative is to drop out into bitterness, addiction, rage, despair, or death. I'm asking you to graduate. The practical effluvium of rebuilding. How does a man turn collapse into reconstruction? Not through inspiration, through discipline. Through specific, repeatable physical and spiritual practices that rebuild the foundation one stone at a time. Shadow integration. The betrayal has activated parts of you that you did not know existed. Rage, vindictiveness, coldness, despair, the capacity for hatred. These are not evidence that you are the monster they describe. They are evidence that you are human and under attack. The work is not to suppress them. Suppression creates pressure. Pressure creates explosion. Explosion creates evidence. The work is to face them, name them, and integrate them under the governance of your reason and your will. You are angry. Good. That anger is data. It tells you something has been violated. Use it as fuel for lawful, disciplined, strategic action. Do not let it use you as a vehicle for self-destruction. Anima disillusionment. You projected onto your wife something she could not carry. Not merely the role of partner and mother, but the archetype of the anima, the projected image of the sacred feminine, the source of softness, home, redemption, emotional refuge. The betrayal has fractured that projection. This is psychoanalytically what you are actually grieving, not merely the loss of a person, but the death of an image that lived inside you and that you saw for a time in her face. Recovery requires withdrawing the projection. She was never the anima. She was a person, limited, flawed, capable of cruelty and deception, shaped by incentives and impulses you could not see. The anima, the longing for home, the hope for communion that lives in you, and it survives this. But it must be grounded in reality, not projected onto the next woman who offers warmth. A man who does not withdraw the projection repeats the pattern. A man who withdraws it becomes discerning, self-contained, and far more difficult to manipulate. Walk every day, for at least an hour, outside. This is not exercise advice, though the physical benefits matter. Walking is the oldest cognitive technology human beings possess for processing grief and restoring equilibrium. The bilateral movement, the forward motion, the exposure to sky and ground and weather, the rhythm, these are not trivial. They are mechanisms by which the nervous system regulates itself out of the sympathetic overdrive of acute crisis and back into the parasympathetic baseline where strategic thought becomes possible again. Aristotle walked. The Stoics walked. The Desert Fathers walked. There is a reason. Walk, work, keep working. Your income is oxygen. The system is designed to disrupt your work through emotional preoccupation, court dates, legal calls, sleep deprivation, the cognitive burden of crisis. Every hour of work you lose is an hour of financial ground ceded to the adversary. Work is also psychological stabilization. It is the domain where your competence is real, where your effort produces measurable results, where the frame has not been inverted. Show up, do the job, let work be the anchor that holds while everything else swings. Prayer, I do not care if you have not prayed in 20 years. Pray now. Not because prayer is magic, it is not, but because prayer is the act of placing your suffering before something larger than the immediate crisis. It is the refusal to be the sole container of your own pain, whether you address God, the saints, the dead, the silence, or your own deepest self. Pray. Speak plainly, lament. The tradition of lament is ancient and strong. The psalmist railing at God, Job demanding an audience, Christ crying out from the cross. You are permitted to be furious in prayer. You are permitted to weep. You are permitted to say, this is wrong. This is unjust. I do not accept it. Help me. That is prayer. Do it daily. Records. Document everything. Dates, times, texts, emails, voicemails, bank statements, school communications, medical records, witness names and contact information, every interaction with the adversary, every interaction with professionals. Organize it chronologically, back it up in multiple locations. This is your fortress of facts. When the narrative launderers arrive with their selective accounts and professional framings, your records are the counter-evidence that cannot be dismissed as opinion. Build the archive. Maintain it religiously. It is your primary weapon in every legal proceeding and your primary shield against gaslighting counsel. You need a lawyer. You need a therapist or pastoral counselor. You may need a financial advisor. You need at least one man, a brother, father, friend, mentor who checks on you regularly and whom you permit to speak frankly into your life. Do not attempt to navigate this alone. The adversary's most powerful weapon is your isolation. Break it deliberately and maintain the connections even when, especially when, you do not feel like talking. Brotherhood, the restoration of male fellowship, is not a luxury. It is a survival mechanism. Western civilization was built by men who worked in fellowship, guilds, militias, monasteries, parishes, platoons, lodges, workshops. The atomization of men is a precondition for their exploitation. A man alone can be gaslit. A man in brotherhood has witnesses, counselors, and allies who can reflect reality back to him when the adversary has captured every other mirror. Find other men who have been through this. Find men who are building things. Find men who will tell you the truth, including truths you do not want to hear. Build brotherhood. It is the fortress within the fortress, the cleaner future. I want to tell you something that may seem impossible from where you are standing. The life ahead of you can be better than the life behind you. Not because the suffering was worth it. Do not let anyone tell you that the suffering was worth it. It was not worth it. It was theft. It was cruelty. It was injustice. And you are right to call it what it is. But the old life, the life with a woman who could weaponize your intimacy, a system that could strip your fatherhood, a house that could be seized by a signature, a reputation that could be erased by an allegation, that life was not as solid as it appeared. You were living on a fault line and did not know it. The earthquake has revealed the geology. The new life can be built on different ground. Ground you choose, ground you prepare. Ground where your labor serves your mission, not her extraction, where your home is yours, where your calendar is yours. Where your children know their father as a man who did not collapse when the world tried to bury him. Where your discipline, your records, your brotherhood, your work, and your faith form a structure that cannot be dissolved by a single person's betrayal. The destruction of the old life is a threshold, not a tomb. You cross it by refusing to die on it. You cross it by doing the work this essay describes: the first hour survival, the documentation, the counsel, the brotherhood, the prayer, the walking, the shadow work, the strategic legal minimization. The refusal of despair, the slow accumulation of days lived well under pressure. Men who have crossed this threshold report a strange experience, a clarity they did not have before. They see things other men cannot see. They are harder to fool. They are less dependent on approval. They are more discerning about character. They value their time, their money, and their authority more precisely. They are better fathers, not despite the loss of access, but because the loss has burned away every illusion about what fatherhood actually means. It means showing up. It means enduring. It means being the constant when the other parent is the chaos. You can be that man, not immediately, not this week, but over time, through the work, through the discipline, through the daily refusal to let the protocol complete its final liquidation. What serves the machine and what defeats it? Revenge serves the machine. Every act of retaliation, the angry text, the vengeful call, the social media post, the attempt to turn the children against her, the violation of an order, the confrontation at the exchange point generates evidence. Evidence becomes the record becomes the frame becomes the verdict. The adversary does not need you to be guilty, she needs you to act guilty. Rage is the behavior that most closely resembles guilt in the court's taxonomy of male dysfunction. Harassment serves the machine. Repeated contact, unwanted communication, showing up uninvited, leveraging mutual friends to deliver messages, all of these are catalogued, documented, and presented as a pattern of obsessive, controlling behavior that confirms the adversary's narrative. Order breaches serve the machine. A protection order is not a suggestion. It is a legal boundary, and crossing it, even with good intent, even out of love, even to see your children, hands the court proof that you cannot govern yourself. That proof is worth more to the adversary than any allegation. It is self-authenticating evidence of exactly the disposition they have attributed to you. Substance abuse serves the machine. Alcohol and drugs degrade judgment, amplify emotion, impair communication, produce behavior that is documentable and damaging. And if they reach the level of dependency, provide a clinical basis for restricting your access to your children, your finances, and your own defense. The adversary is not hoping you drink. The adversary is counting on it. Despair serves the machine. It is the final payment, the complete liquidation, the outcome that resolves everything in the adversary's favor without further effort. What defeats the machine is the man who refuses to provide any of the above. The man who stays sober, stays lawful, stays silent to enemies, stays connected to brothers, stays employed, stays documenting, stays praying, stays alive. That man is the system's worst case. He does not generate the evidence they need. He does not perform the dysfunction they have predicted. He does not collapse on schedule. He endures, and in enduring, he forces the machine to confront the gap between its narrative and his conduct. Be that man. Today, that means stay alive, stay sober, stay silent, call one trusted man, and consult a lawyer who understands what is happening to you. Tomorrow, it means the same plus the next discipline step. The day after, the same. One day at a time, the fortress builds itself around you, not from stone, but from the accumulated weight of days survived with honor, records maintained with precision, and a will that refused to break. The practical action plan follows. Take it in your hands, begin. Male Action Plan. The Inner Fortress Protocol. A male action plan for acute divorce and family court crisis. Read this first. You have been ambushed. In one stroke, the covenant you built, the home you funded, the children you fathered, the reputation you earned, and the wages you generate are being seized by a machine that codes your grief as aggression, your silence as guilt, and your anguish as proof of danger. This is not sadness. This is a divorce-rape crisis. The simultaneous, non-consensual liquidation of a man's civilization. Marriage, home, children, savings, labor, identity through a hostile legal administrative process that treats him as a defendant in a crime that was never charged, tried, or proven. Premise 1. A system that presumes a man dangerous on the uncorroborated word of a litigant who gains from the accusation is not a justice system. It is an extraction apparatus wearing justice's clothing. Premise 2. A man in acute shock will make decisions that permanently damage his case, his children, his freedom, and his life, unless he imposes external discipline before internal chaos imposes itself. Conclusion. Therefore, the first act of a man under legal ambush is not strategy, it is stabilization. Stop the bleeding. Then think, this is not legal advice. It is survival architecture from men who walked through this fire, lost what you are losing, and lived to rebuild. Follow it like a field manual, because that is exactly what it is. The pro-col. Step 1. Recognize the danger zone. Do not make permanent decisions inside temporary shock. Definition. Acute family court shock is the nervous system collapse following simultaneous legal ambush, asset seizure, child loss, home exile, betrayal trauma, and identity fracture. It is physiologically comparable to being struck by a vehicle. Your adrenal system is flooded, your prefrontal cortex, the part of you that plans, calculates, and restrains, is partially offline. You are not thinking clearly. You will not think clearly for days, possibly weeks. This is medical reality, not weakness. Rule: no permanent decisions in the first 72 hours. None, not one, no rage texts, no drunken calls, no public posting, no confrontations, no threats, even joking ones, no pleading, no begging, no spam, no self-harm, no substance spiral, no revenge fantasy enacted in any form, not in speech, not in writing, not in gesture. Every rage text is a gift to your adversary's attorney. Every drunk call is evidence. Every threatening word, even if you mean nothing by it, can be converted into a restraining order, a police report, a supervised visitation order, a criminal charge. The system feeds on your panic. Starve it. Syllogism. If the adversary's strategy depends on provoking you into words or actions she can weaponize, and every impulsive reaction you generate becomes a paper trail she can use, then your discipline, your silence, your restraint, your refusal to react is itself a weapon that defeats her strategy. Your silence is not passivity. It is a fortress wall. If you are in imminent danger to your life, if you are on the edge of a cliff, real or psychological, do not call the system that is currently dismembering you. Call a trusted man, a brother, a father, a pastor, a friend who has been through it. If no man is available and you are at the absolute edge, call emergency medical help or local emergency services as the last resort. But your first move is to reach one human being who will sit with you, physically or by phone, and say, "You are not alone. This has happened to millions of men. You will survive this. Do nothing tonight but breathe." Do that, now, then continue. Step 2. Secure the physical baseline. Sleep, food, water, shelter. You are not a legal combatant if you are dead, hospitalized, or institutionalized. Your body is the platform on which everything else is built. Treat it as infrastructure under siege. Sleep. You will not sleep normally. Accept this, but you must sleep. If you cannot sleep in the home, find a safe place, a brother's couch, a hotel, a spare room. Use melatonin, use prayer, use exhaustion from walking. Do not use alcohol. Alcohol will degrade your judgment, deepen your despair, and generate the exact behaviors the system is designed to punish. If insomnia persists beyond several days, consult a physician, not a therapist who may be ideologically captured, but a medical doctor who treats the nervous system. Food. Eat even if you're not hungry. Your brain is burning fuel at emergency rates. Low blood sugar produces irritability, poor judgment, and emotional fragility, all of which your adversary can weaponize. Keep protein on hand. Drink water. Keep coffee below 4 cups. Treat meals as scheduled tasks, not optional pleasures. Shelter. Secure a place to sleep that is not the battlefield. If she has changed the locks or filed an order, do not break in. Do not force entry. Do not just get my things. That is a trap. Every forced entry is a police report. Every police report is a paper trail. Every paper trail becomes evidence of instability or dangerousness. Consult counsel before retrieving possessions. If lawfully permitted to enter, bring a witness, record if legally allowed, take only what you need and leave. Walking. Walk every day 30 minutes minimum. Not for fitness, for nervous system regulation. Your body is in fight or flight mode. Walking discharges that cortisol load. Walk alone or with a brother. Pray while walking, grieve while walking, but walk. Step 3. Contact one trusted man. End isolation now. Definition. Brotherhood is not a support group. It is one man standing in the gap, holding you accountable when your own will is buckling. Rule. Identify one man, one who meets these criteria. He has your trust. He is sober. He will not gossip. He is not emotionally entangled with your wife or her circle. And ideally, he has survived divorce or family court abuse himself. Call him, tell him, I am in crisis. I need you to check on me daily for the next 30 days. I need you to stop me from doing anything stupid. Why one and not many? Because a man in crisis who broadcasts widely becomes gossip, sympathy bait, or worse, a target for people who profit from his collapse. One anchor man, later, expand to a small brotherhood. But today, one diagnostic question. Who checks on you tonight? If the answer is no one, fix that before sundown. Step 4, OBI, all vul count orders, while challenging them through council definition. Strategic compliance is obeying the letter of every lawful order, while simultaneously preparing, through proper legal channels, to challenge, modify, or appeal it. It is the art of surviving inside a rigged system without handing it fresh ammunition. Rule if there is a restraining order, a temporary custody order, a financial order, an exclusion order, obey it to the letter. Do not interpret it loosely. Do not test its boundaries. Do not send a friendly message through a child. Do not just drop by. Every technical violation, even accidental, even harmless, becomes a pattern of non-compliance, entitlement, or control in the language of the court. Objection, but it's unjust. Of course it is. The order was likely issued ex parte, without you present, without your evidence, without cross-examination, on the uncorroborated word of a person with every incentive to exaggerate. That is the injustice. But the remedy is not self-help. The remedy is counsel, evidence, and lawful challenge. Syllogism: if violating an unjust order provides the system with real evidence of your dangerousness regardless of the order's merit, and compliance preserves your record and your freedom to challenge the order lawfully, then strategic compliance is the stronger tactical position. You are not submitting, you are positioning. Step 5, vet and retain due process-oriented, fatherhood literate counsel. This is the single most important professional decision you will make. The wrong lawyer will profile you as a perpetrator, manage you towards settlement, bill you into bankruptcy, and hand your children to your adversary on a silver platter. Definition: fatherhood literate counsel is an attorney who understands the institutional default toward maternal custody, the weaponization of allegation, the financial incentives of the divorce industry, and the constitutional deficiencies of family court procedure, and who fights accordingly. Vetting criteria: does this lawyer have first-hand experience with men who faced false allegations, asset seizure, or alienation? Has he or she won those cases? Does this lawyer believe in shared parenting as a default, or does he default to let's not rock the boat? Does this lawyer understand the financial extraction architecture, support calculations, asset division, fee shifting, wage garnishment? Will this lawyer challenge ex parte orders, demand evidentiary hearings, cross-examine, and file motions to enforce your rights? Is this lawyer ideologically neutral, or does he mouth feminist platitudes about safety and the best interests of the child as if those phrases mean whatever the mother wants? Does this lawyer have trial experience, or does he only settle? Red flags: lawyers who tell you to just agree before reviewing evidence. Lawyers who treat your grief as a problem to manage. Lawyers who charge for every email but never file a motion. Lawyers whose entire practice is volume-based divorce churning. Similarly, vet any therapist, counselor, or medical professional with the same rigor. Avoid, at all costs, professionals trained in ideological frameworks that code male distress as inherently dangerous. You need a clinician who treats trauma, not a social worker who treats masculinity. Prefer, where available, professionals with first-hand lived experience of family court abuse, men and women who entered the system idealistic and exited. They will not gaslight you. Do not DIY this. You would not perform your own surgery? This is surgery. Step 6, build the evidence timeline. The machine's language is Rigord's definition. Legal logos is the grammar of the court machine. Documents, records, dates, timestamps, receipts, communications, medical visits, school pickups, financial transfers. The court does not speak in truth, it speaks in evidence. If your truth is not translated into records, It does not exist inside that machine. Rule immediately. Today, begin constructing a chronological master timeline. Use a spreadsheet or a physical notebook. Include communications log. Every text, email, call, and message to from your wife and her representatives. Date, time, direction. Content summary. Preserve originals, screenshots, backups, exports. Parenting log. Every contact with your children. Pickups, drop-offs, calls, school events, medical appointments, extracurriculars. Date, time, duration, location. Financial log. Every shared expense, every transfer, every debt, every asset. Bank statements going back years. Tax returns, pay stubs. Retirement accounts, mortgage documents. Incident log. Every allegation made against you, who said it, when, to whom, what evidence exists or doesn't. Every violation of your rights or the order by the adversary. Witness list. Anyone who observed your parenting, your marriage, her conduct, your treatment of the children. Names, contact info, relationship, what they saw. Back up everything. Secure devices. Change passwords on personal accounts, email, banking, cloud storage, social media. Use a new password manager if needed. Do not delete anything. Destruction of evidence is a crime and a gift to your opponent. Do not create new evidence against yourself. No venting in writing. No group chats where someone screenshots you. No social media posts about the case. Assume everything you type will be read aloud in court. Because it will be. Step 7. Impose communications discipline. Say less. Document more. Definition. Communications discipline is the practice of treating every word you speak or write as potential court exhibit. It is the suppression of emotional expression in favor of evidentiary prudence. Rule. All communication with your wife or her representatives must be written, text, or email only. No verbal calls unless recorded, and only where legally permitted. Minimal facts only. No emotion, no accusation, no explanation, no justification necessary, only regarding logistics, finances, or children. Nothing else. Dignified, courteous, brief. Unimpeachable in tone, logged, preserved in your timeline. Template response to provocation. I received your message. I disagree with your characterization. I will respond through my attorney. That's it. Do not engage. Do not explain. Do not defend. Do not counter-accuse. Every word you add is a word that can be decontextualized and weaponized. The temptation will be enormous. She will send messages designed to provoke accusations, insults, threats, emotional manipulation, appeals to guilt. This is not random, it is strategic. The adversary and her counsel know that a provoked man generates his own conviction. Do not cooperate with your own destruction. Step 8, protect your work and income. Your job is oxygen definition. Work protection is the defense of your employment, income, and professional reputation from the spillover of legal crisis into economic collapse. Rule, go to work. Show up on time, perform. Do not discuss the case with coworkers beyond what is absolutely necessary, e.g., HR notification, if you need time for court appearances. Do not let your performance slip. Your income is the oxygen that funds your defense, your housing, your children's needs, and your rebuilding. Do not quit. Do not reduce hours without strategic reason. Do not transfer jobs to send a message. Income is leverage. Income is survival. If your workplace is contacted by your adversary, by phone, email, social media, or legal process, inform counsel immediately. Do not respond personally. Document the contact. Consider it part of the pattern. If your professional reputation is attacked through false allegations to employers, licensing boards, or professional associations, document everything and consult counsel about defamation and tortious interference claims. Step 9. Avoid unnecessary court battles. Minimize exposure. Definition. Minimizing exposure means reducing your contact with the family court machine to the absolute lawful minimum necessary to protect your rights and your children. Why? Because family law is not a truth-seeking institution. It is a fee-feeding, conflict-dependent, gamma-biased administrative cartel in which lawyers profit from billable hours generated by every motion, hearing, and dispute experts, evaluators, guardians. Therapists profit from prolonged involvement. Agencies and charities profit from caseload volume ideological actors, profit from every man they can code as a perpetrator delay, serves the party seeking extraction, not the party seeking resolution. Every unnecessary filing, every retaliatory motion, every heated hearing feeds the machine and drains you. Strategy is not fight everything. Strategy is fight only what matters, fight with evidence, and settle what can be settled without surrendering core rights. Rule: before any filing, ask counsel, is this legally necessary? Does it advance my position on custody, finances, or rights? What evidence supports it? What will it cost? How will the adversary use it? Can this objective be achieved through negotiation, mediation, or agreement instead? Do not file motions to make a point. The court does not care about your point. The court cares about procedure, evidence, and the framework it has been trained to apply. Work within that framework or be crushed by it. Step 10. Protect your children. Be the father who does not collapse. Definition: fatherhood under siege is the practice of maintaining paternal presence, love, and stability for your children, while the state and your adversary attempt to restrict, redefine, or sever that bond. Rule: your children are the center. Everything else, money, house, reputation, even justice, is secondary. Your relationship with them is the asset that matters most. Practical directives show up. Every visitation, every school event, every appointment you are lawfully permitted to attend, be there, be punctual, be calm, document everything, every contact, every call, every missed call, every denied contact. This is evidence for future custody modification. Do not vent to your children. They are not your therapists. Do not criticize their mother. Do not explain the legal situation. Do not make them choose sides. Their psyches are the most fragile infrastructure in this crisis. Protect them. Do not weaponize them. No messages through children. No interrogation after visits. No bribery for loyalty. This is alienation in either direction, and it destroys children. Maintain rituals. Bedtime stories, weekend routines, favorite meals, inside jokes. Children need continuity. Be the anchor. Send steady messages. If contact is restricted, send regular, warm, brief messages. Thinking of you, love you, Dad. Do not use messages to relay legal information or criticize. They are for the child, not the court file, but they will also serve as evidence of your paternal devotion if the court ever asks. Refuse alienation without mirroring it. If she alienates, bad-mouthing, interference, denial of contact, document it meticulously and raise it through counsel. Do not retaliate. The court notices which parent supports the child's relationship with the other parent and which parent obstructs it. Your children will remember who was steady. Be that person. Step 11. Defend your finances. Understand the extraction architecture. Definition: financial extraction is the systematic transfer of a man's assets, income, and future earnings to his adversary through legal mechanisms framed as equity and the best interests of the child rule. You must understand with counsel the specific mechanisms in play, asset division, what is marital versus separate property, how will the home, retirement accounts, vehicles, and personal property be divided, what is the realistic settlement range, child support, how is it calculated in your jurisdiction, what income is imputed, what modifications are possible, how long does it last, spousal support, alimony, is it on the table, how is it calculated, is it modifiable, how long? Legal fees? Who pays? Can fee shifting occur? How do you prevent being billed into submission? Insurance, health, life, auto. Who carries what? Who pays? Who benefits? Debts. Who is liable for which obligations? Can joint accounts be closed? Should they be? Do not hide assets. Do not transfer money to friends, family, or offshore accounts. Do not drain joint accounts without counsel's advice. These are self-destructive moves that generate fraud claims and criminal exposure. Do protect yourself lawfully. Separate accounts for your income, with counsel's guidance, detailed records of all expenses, especially child-related copies of all financial documents before they disappear, a realistic post-divorce budget. You will likely live on less. Accept this now. Plan accordingly. Remember the broader civilizational truth. Men are the only net lifetime taxpayers. The system extracts from men to fund itself. Your job is not to rage at this, it is to survive the extraction, rebuild your base, and channel your surplus into institutions that serve men and families rather than devour them. Step 12. Practice sober virtue. No alcohol, no escapism, no reckless ribald. Definition. Sober virtue is the disciplined refusal to numb pain with substances, distractions, or reckless behavior during the period of maximum vulnerability. Rule: no alcohol for 30 days, none. Alcohol is a depressant that amplifies despair, degrades sleep, impairs judgment, and produces the behaviors the system is designed to punish. Every drunk text is evidence, every bar confrontation is a police report. Every impaired drive is a DUI that destroys your custody case. No recreational drugs, no reckless dating, no pornography spiral, no doom scrolling, no rage posting, no 2 a.m. social media campaigns to tell your side. Each of these is a pressure release valve that feels like relief but functions as self-destruction. What to do instead? Walk, lift weights, pray, read, build something, work, sit with a brother, write in a journal. Grieve deliberately, not endlessly. Clean anger, not wrath. Your rage at this injustice is not sin. It is thumos, the rightful moral alarm that detects violation. But thumos must be purified by logos, named, governed, proportioned, directed. Sulking is collapsed thumos, resentment, passivity, contempt turned inward. Wrath is exploded thumos, vengeance, rashness, obsession turned outward. Clean anger names the wound, gathers the evidence, sets the boundary, and builds the fortress. That is your path. Step 13. Establish a daily right-burled discipline. The 30-day war room. Definition. The war room is your command center, physical or digital, where the crisis is converted from panic into checklists. Within 30 days, establish evidence file, complete timeline, documents, backups. Step 6. Legal plan, retained counsel, clear understanding of next hearings, deadlines, and filings, parenting log, meticulous record of all child contact and denied contact financial map, current assets, debts, income, expenses, budget, support obligations, health routine, sleep schedule, daily walks, weight training, 3x week, meals, hydration, medical therapeutic support, brotherhood schedule, daily check-in with your anchor man, weekly contact with a small circle of trusted men, work protection plan, clear boundaries, performance standards, HR notifications as needed, prayer and study, daily time in scripture, meditation, or philosophical reading that grounds you in logos and the Western canon, no addiction contract, written commitment to sobriety and disciplined behavior for 30 days minimum rebuilding vision, a one-page document answering. Who will I be in 5 years because of how I handled this? Print the checklist, tape it to the wall, execute daily. Step 14, pray, walk, lift the spiritual physical base. Pray even if your faith is shattered. Even if God feels absent as he felt absent to Job. Especially then, prayer is not a sentiment. It is the alignment of the soul with the logos that orders reality. You have been ambushed by a system that has declared war on common sense, on fatherhood, on truth itself. Your counter-weapon is not rage. It is ordered truth spoken with courage under the authority of God. Walk. 30 minutes daily outside, no phone. Pray while walking, grieve while walking. Let the body discharge what the mind cannot process. Lift 3 times per week, heavy enough to matter. Your testosterone is under assault from stress, sleep disruption, and cortisol flooding. Weight training is not vanity, it is physiological self-defense. A strong body supports a strong mind. A disciplined physical routine disciplines the interior fortress. Step 15, zoom out. This is his chapter, not the book. Listen carefully. You are not the first man this has happened to. You will not be the last. Millions of men, right now, this year, face the same machinery, the ex parte order, the false allegation, the asset freeze, the exile from home, the supervised visitation, the wage garnishment, the legal bill that equals a year's salary, the social smear, the loneliness, the weight of it all. Many men do not survive this. Some take their own lives, some drink themselves to death, some vanish into bitterness and never return. The system does not count these casualties. The culture does not mourn them. The churches that should shelter them often side with the adversary. Your task is to become one of the men who lives, not merely survives, lives, learns, rebuilds, creates a future on his own terms. Becomes harder, wiser, freer, more disciplined, more dangerous to lies, more devoted to his children, more faithful to truth than he was before the ambush. The destruction of your old life can become a hard threshold into a cleaner, freer, more ordered existence. The marriage that was killing you slowly, emotionally, spiritually, financially is gone. The illusion is shattered. The anima projection, the fantasy that this woman was your home, your redemption, your sacred feminine is broken. That breaking is agony, but it is also liberation. You now have the opportunity, for the first time in years, to build a life ordered by logos, by reason, by discipline, by truth, by the Western canon, by the wisdom of men who walked through fire before you. A life where your surplus serves your children, your brothers, and the institutions you choose to build, not a divorce industrial complex that devours men and calls it justice. Reframe survival as refusal. She sought your liquidation, assets, insurance, possessions, reputation, fatherhood, work, and life. Your survival, your daily, disciplined, faithful, sober, truth-telling survival is the refusal of that liquidation. Every morning you wake up and follow this protocol, you win. Every day you stay calm, document, work, father, pray, and build. You win. Every day you refuse to become the monster they need you to be, you win. This is not the end. This is the forge. Summary Prukel card. Domain action immediate safety. No permanent decisions for 72 hours. Contact one trusted man. If life-threatening, secure immediate physical safety through least adversarial route. Court orders obey all lawful orders to the letter. Challenge through counsel only. Counsel vet due process oriented. Fatherhood literate. Men's issues aware attorney. Prefer first-hand experience with court abuse. Avoid ideologically captured professionals. Evidence build master timeline. Communications, parenting, finances, incidents, witnesses. Back up everything. Communications written, minimal, necessary, dignified, logged. No emotional engagement. Children show up. Document. No venting. No weaponizing. Maintain rituals. Send steady love. Finances understand extraction mechanisms. Protect income lawfully. Don't hide assets. Budget for reduced income. Court battles minimize exposure. Fight only what matters with evidence. Avoid unnecessary filings. Work show up. Perform. Protect reputation. Income is oxygen. Health, sleep, eat, walk, lift. No alcohol for 30 days. Medical support if needed. Spiritual pray daily, walk daily, study the canon, practice clean anger, not wrath or sulking. Brotherhood 1, Anchorman now. Small circle within 30 days. No isolation. Daily rebuild war room checklist. Execute daily. Convert panic to discipline. Final word. You were told that marriage is a partnership. The state has revealed its true doctrine. Marriage is an unconscionable contract in which one party can unilaterally dissolve the household, weaponize vague allegations, seize home and children via temporary orders, claim wages, impose debts, and restructure the other party's life without consent, while the other party cannot refuse, cannot exit, and cannot speak. That is the system. It is corrupt. It is irreparable. And it is not your problem to fix today. Your problem today is to live, to eat, to sleep, to walk, to pray, to call one man, to obey the orders, to hire the right lawyer, to document, to show up for your children, to go to work, to stay sober, to breathe. Tomorrow, you will do it again, and the day after, and slowly, through discipline, through evidence, through brotherhood, through counsel, through the grace of God and the stubborn refusal to be destroyed, you will build a fortress no court can breach and no adversary can take. You are a man. You are a father. You will survive this. Now act. You are not the first man dragged into this machine, and if you hold your discipline, you will not be the last to walk out of it alive. Men before you have faced the identical protocol. The ex parte ambush, the asset freeze, the coached narrative, The sudden transformation of 20 years of provision into a prosecutable offense called marriage. Many did not survive the shock. That is not a statistic to skim. It is a corpse count produced by a system that monetizes male dispossession and calls the proceeds safety. Honor those men by refusing to join them. Your first duty is biological. Breathe, eat, sleep, hydrate, walk. Your second duty is tactical. Document everything, say nothing impulsive, obey lawful orders while challenging unjust ones through every lawful channel available. Your third duty is paternal. Your children need a living father, not a martyr. Show up. Send the steady message. Keep the ritual. Be the calm constant the court cannot legislate out of existence. A father in exile is still a father. The office does not expire because a bureaucrat suspended its privileges. Now contact one man, not a circle, not a comment section. One trusted, sober man who will hold you accountable for your own survival. Isolation is the predator's primary weapon. Defeat it with a single phone call, then work. Income is oxygen. The machine feeds on your financial collapse. Protect the job, protect the revenue, protect the substrate from which all reconstruction will be built. Do not send the rage text. Do not make the drunken call. Do not post the evidence packet. Do not violate the order. Every impulsive act funds the case against you and lines the pockets of the professionals billing your destruction by the quarter hour. Here is the reframe the system cannot survive you discovering. The life being liquidated was already compromised. It was built on illusions you did not know you held, the anima projection, the gynocentric covenant, the belief that provision purchased loyalty, the assumption that the feminine principle was inherently just. The court did not destroy a sound structure. It demolished a building whose foundation you never inspected. The rubble hurts, but beneath it sits bedrock you never would have found any other way. This is the threshold. Not a metaphor, an actual ontological crossing point where the boy who believed dies and the man who knows is born. The old life ended. The new one has not been built. That gap is not void, it is workspace. Your task now is construction. Not retaliation, not grief theater, not identity as victim, not bitterness slow-cooked into a worldview. Construction, body, bank account, brotherhood, bond with children. Working knowledge of the legal machine's grammar, prayer or its functional equivalent, daily discipline of the will against entropy, a vocation sharpened by loss. A household, however modest, ordered by logos rather than appeasement. Virtue is not a slogan here. It is infrastructure. Temperance keeps you out of a cell. Fortitude keeps you out of a grave. Justice keeps your anger clean an engine, not a fire. Prudence keeps you alive long enough to win. These are not abstractions from a philosophy seminar. They are the load-bearing walls of the inner fortress. And without them, the next filing, the next false allegation, the next billing cycle will collapse what remains of you. The system is designed to make you irrational, because the irrational man is the profitable man. He fights in the wrong arena, spends on the wrong battle, provides the narrative evidence for his own caricature. Your most aggressive act is composure. Your sharpest weapon is the documented timeline. Your most devastating strike is the quiet, lawful, relentless refusal to become what they need you to become. Remember the ledger. Men are the only net lifetime taxpayers in every Western democracy. The infrastructure, the courts, the welfare state, the family court bureaucracy, the enforcement mechanisms, all funded primarily by male labor. They are extracting your resources to fund the apparatus that extracts your resources. Note the circularity, note the unsustainability. Note that systems built on this inversion do not last, and men who see the mechanism clearly are the ones who survive its collapse. You will lose things in this process that should never have been losable. Custody time, savings, years, reputation within captured institutions. Grieve those losses with precision, name what was taken, by whom, through what mechanism, and then stop grieving and start building. Grief is a tax. Pay it once, not annually. The brotherhood you need is not theoretical. It is the millions of men who received the same letter, sat in the same waiting room, heard the same judicial presumptions, paid the same retainer, endured the same silence when they tried to name what was happening. They survived, some barely, some with scars that never fully closed, but they are on the other side of this, living freer, harder, clearer lives than the marriage they mourn ever permitted. You are not unique in your suffering. You are expected. And the men who came through before you left a trail, a vocabulary, a set of hard-won protocols written in the ink of their own losses. Follow that trail. Stabilize. Document. Hire counsel who understands the game. Protect the children through presence, not panic. Build the body. Secure the income. Learn the law's grammar without worshipping it. Refuse the bait of rage. Refuse the trap of despair. Refuse the script they wrote for you. The disposable man, the deadbeat father, the aggressor by anatomy, the wallet with a pulse. You are none of those things. You are a man undergoing a forced initiation into a clarity most men never reach. The cost was unconscionable. The curriculum is real. Walk through the threshold. The air on the other side is cold, clean, and yours. Sponsored book, Inner Fortress, Building Spiritual Frame for Defense in Psychoanalytical Depth. Men today face a relentless assault. You feel it. That constant pressure to apologize for your strength, to doubt your instincts, to trade conviction for approval. I know because I lived it. Years spent navigating the suffocating fog of modern misandry, praised for ambition one moment, condemned as toxic the next. Shamed for stoicism, then despised for any hint of vulnerability. It's a deliberate double bind designed to break you. I saw good men hollowed out, their God-given dominion over self and family eroded by poisonous ideologies masquerading as progress. My own frustration, my anger at seeing brothers lost in society crumbling, forced me to seek answers beyond the lies. I dug into scripture, studied the deliberate sabotage of cultural Marxism, and rediscovered the timeless wisdom of spiritual warfare from Manichaean and Christian traditions. This book is the result. It's not theory, it's forged in the fires of real struggle. This book is your armor. It's for the rational man who senses the spiritual war raging around him, the man tired of being told his nature is a problem. If you're ready to reject victimhood, embrace your inherent responsibility to lead, and build an unbreakable inner fortress, this is your manual. We cut through the illusions of gender equality and expose the deliberate attack on the complementary design of man and woman, where man leads and woman, as his essential helper, fulfills her unique, irreplaceable role. You'll learn to spot the enemy's tactics, unmasking cultural Marxism, rebuild the critical bonds of true brotherhood, wield discipline like a sword, reclaim fatherhood as your sacred duty, and engineer anti-fragility into your core, anti-fragility engineering. We restore rites of passage and leverage logic as your most potent weapon against chaos. We draw on the deep structure of reality itself, informed by insights like the CTMU, showing your place and purpose within God's ordered universe. This is about actionable dominion, physical temple maintenance, strategic withdrawal, restoring justice, and building a legacy that withstands the siege. If you're content with the world as it is, if you believe men and women are interchangeable cogs, if you think traditional roles are oppression, if your idea of strength is performative vulnerability, put this book down. Now go find something comfortable that tells you what you already want to hear. This isn't for the faint of heart or the ideologically blinded. It's for warriors, for men who understand that reclaiming sacred masculinity isn't optional. It's survival. It's the path to standing unbroken before God, commanding your destiny, and defending what truly matters. The lies end here. Your fortress begins now. Inner Fortress, Building Spiritual Frame for Defense in Psychoanalytical Depth, written by Conrad Riker. Buy now. Links in description.